Tonight, Chad Ramsey's mother reacts to news that after a year, his accused murderer has been arrested and charged for the killing. Cabot developers counter what they say is misinformation about their intentions and the NIC's role in the St. Lucia development. And Beaufort South hopeful Senator Herman Gill Francis distances himself and his team from campaign posters that have drawn comment and concern from another candidate. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Friday, the 14th of August, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and our Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. I'm lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Pearl Ramsey has been grieving the loss of her son who was murdered in April 2019. On Thursday, police announced that they have finally made an arrest and preferred a charge of murder against 25-year-old Joshua Francis for the killing of her son, Chad Ramsey. She says she wants justice to be served under the law, but personally, she says she has done much soul-searching and chose to forgive. Genevieve Gonzague spoke with Ramsey and her daughter.
On April 18, 2019, 33-year-old Chad Ramsey lost his life on the corner of Broglie and Brazil Street. More than 1 year later, 25-year-old Joshua Francis, aka Josh, was arrested and charged for Ramsey's death. We spoke to the mother of Chad Ramsey days after the arrest was made. Pearl Ramsey says it has been a tough year, grieving the untimely death of her beloved son. However, the news of the arrest of his alleged killer has brought a great measure of relief. Ramsey says her son has been her guiding light, and so, in honor of his memory, she made a choice some time ago to forgive his killer.
It's a year and 4 months. Well, I'm praying, and I was not surprised. Well, I feel happy because he's been caught. That's the first phase. I know judgment will be served, justice will be given to my son because of the kind of person he was. He was a very prayerful person, and he has a prayerful mother. I did not want to forgive him, honestly. I did not want to forgive him. But I know if my son had survived, he would have forgiven him. And in that way, I tried, I prayed, and honestly, I have forgiven him. Because if he knew the kind of individual that he had killed, honestly, I will understand as a mother, I know the hurt of a mother. I know how apparently how his mother feels too. My son killer, how his mother felt. Because, the cry of one mother is the cry of all.
Chad Ramsey's sister, Kutama Ramsey, says she remained in denial about her brother's death for a long time. But now that an arrest has been made, she feels much safer.
Well, I was coming a friend of mine in the boulevard when I heard my brother got shot. I didn't really believe it, but my brother was the one to tell it to me. So I ran and looked for my mother. I didn't see her. I had to go and look for her. When I finally see her, I tell her they shot my brother. She couldn't believe it. I still didn't feel no way until I saw him on the ground. Feeling much better. I'm feeling free.
The mother had these words of advice for the youth who seem drawn to gangs and violence.
What I'm trying to tell them, before they do any crime, just think of them, or try to say parents, or think of their family. So I always preaching it to my children. I always tell my children, yes, you'll do the crime, but sometimes when you reach borderly, that's when you have the opportunity and you have all the time in the world for you to start thinking. You understand? And to take somebody's life like Chad, honestly, the instantly when they came to tell me that they shot Chad, I thought it was a stray shot. You understand? So I feel maybe his mother should put herself in my situation. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Because Chad was somebody, he didn't used to condone crime. He was somebody, even his own family, his brothers, the boys by my home, always used to be preaching to them about crime. Crime not paying, it not paying.
Police arrested the accused murderer Joshua Francis on Tuesday, 11th August, during a joint operation. He was also charged for possession of a firearm. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Thank you, Genevieve. National Security Minister and Senator Herman Gill-Francis says neither him nor members of his team are behind recent publications depicting him as the endorsed candidate for Vieux Fort South. He says further that he has taken issue with what he claims were disparaging comments made by the president of the Southern Business Association, Sabina Valmore, who has also applied to be the party's candidate for the seat. The Vieux Fort South constituency group has issued a statement clarifying that the candidate selection process is ongoing and that there is no endorsed candidate as yet. Shaka Wooding has more.
Senator Herman Gill-Francis says although he is sympathetic toward the feelings of political hopeful Sabina Valmore following the release of posters in support of his bid for candidacy in Vieux Fort South, he will not take kindly to unwarranted criticisms of his political career. Francis alleges that Valmore, who is president of the Southern Business Association, made reference to him as a rejected politician and has therefore issued this response.
It was unfortunate, though, for the comments made by Ms. Valmore in regard to this photo, where Ms. Valmore said about me that I was a rejected politician. I want to inform everybody that I will not respond in kind, but I want to clear the air.
Francis says throughout his political career, he has always been a team player, entering the candidate selection process and offering his support to the selected candidate, no matter his personal views on the outcome. He believes that Valmore ought to adopt a similar demeanor, rather than fostering segregation within the United Workers' Party.
I'm sorry to say that, but I want Ms. Valmore to remember that we are both members of the same political party. There will be agitation on this part of our supporters, which sometimes degenerate into things that is not correct. But the two of us must remain above board. We must be able to correspond with each other in a manner that brings proper strength for our party.
The senator went on to disassociate himself and his political camp from posters circulating on social media, where he is depicted as the UWP's endorsed candidate for Vieux Fort South.
And so I was surprised to have seen some of the photos that were prepared on my behalf. I want to say that it is not correct or is not good for persons to be putting those photos. I have no idea who it is, and I want to disassociate myself from this photo.
Francis says it is expected that his supporters in the Vieux Fort South constituency would be excited by the news of his interest in contending. However, for his part, he awaits the results of the party's candidate selection process. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Thank you, Jacques. A statement on the controversial Cabot development has been issued by the developers themselves. They lament what they say has been inaccurate information circulating about the development taking place at Cap Estate. Cabot says it wants to make clear that the intention is to be a partner in the community. They state that they have no intention of denying St. Lucia nationals their rights, and while they understand that there will always be a few opposed to any development, they are committed to showcasing St. Lucia on the world stage in a way that the majority of St. Lucians can be proud of.
Cabot St. Lucia issued a press statement on Friday, 14th August, to address what it says are inaccuracies and state its position on the issues of concern to St. Lucians. On the matter of the much-talked-about NIC loan, Cabot indicates that the NIC provided an interest-bearing loan at market rates to Cabot, which is secured by the land. Therefore, if Cabot were to ever default, the land would belong to the NIC, as opposed to staying idle in the hands of a foreign bank or receiver. However, with the success of the project, the NIC will not only be repaid the loan with interest, but will also continue to benefit from future employer-employee contributions. On the issue of beach access, Cabot says from the onset of the project, Cabot has been and continues to be committed to providing beach access. In addition, Cabot also made a commitment to enhance Casaba Beach with improved accessibility and new facilities for public use, once the relevant government permissions have been granted to do so. The only access to the site that has been blocked was as a result of a government request to stop the illegal entry of people from Martinique during the COVID-19 lockdown. Further, Cabot says it continues to work with government and the existing businesses in the proposed development area to find workable solutions to preserving these businesses and jobs. On the issue of archaeological finds, Cabot has agreed to adhere to protocols established by Invest St. Lucia for a similar development project, and it stands ready to enter an agreement with the government of St. Lucia on this as well. Cabot developers say they look forward to meeting with members of the public once public health restrictions allow to discuss these issues further. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Meanwhile, the St. Lucia National Trust continues to express disappointment about the decision taken by the Cabinet of Ministers to lease the Queen's Chain along the northeast coast to Cabot St. Lucia for 75 years. The director of the St. Lucia National Trust, Vishnu Tulsi, says that the conditions governing the Queen's Chain are very clear and specific, especially regarding public access, and it should be expected of a cabinet to uphold such policies.
The St. Lucia National Trust and its membership say they are taken aback by the consideration and apparent approval from the cabinet to lease the northeastern sector of the Queen's Chain to developers, further revoking public access from the area. Article 355 of the Civil Code of St. Lucia states that the roads and public ways maintained by the state, the Queen's Chain, the seashore, land reclaimed from the sea, ports, harbors, and roadsteads do not constitute as private property and are considered being dependencies of the Crown domain and as such belong to the people of St. Lucia, for which the government is the custodian. Director of the St. Lucia National Trust, Vishnu Tulsi, says the conditions outlined by the article are unambiguous and have never been altered or amended in any way, still applying unchanged to today's society. He says as elected custodians of such lands, he would expect the Cabinet of Ministers to manage these lands in the interest of the St. Lucian people.
We are just taken aback that this has happened at the level of the Cabinet, whose duty it is to protect national interests. So yes, our efforts have fallen on deaf ears. We do what we can. We have access through writing. Meetings to discuss these things are denied now. We even met with the developer.
He says access to the Queen's Chain and beaches is a traditional right of all St. Lucians, and it is an inheritance of St. Lucians that should not be denied.
I think every St. Lucian ought to be outraged over what is happening. Our concern is that for years, since that Queen's Chain was released to Cap Estate in the 40s, St. Lucians have always had access. Why is it now, all of a sudden, we are being denied this access when there is no need for it, when the development and public access can coexist, and when everyone can enjoy the same space? There should be nothing exclusive about Cabot's guests that St. Lucians cannot share the same space with them, and it's St. Lucian space.
He notes that much of the Queen's Chain in this area was first leased to Cap Estate Limited in January 1973 for 75 years under conditions which, although not stated, did not hinder or prevent the enjoyment of the Queen's Chain by St. Lucians in any way. Tulsi urges the Cabinet to reconsider its decision. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, have residents of White Rock received the reprieve from dust and cement as promised? The CCC counters a local vendor's claims, insisting that she is being unreasonable, and a 1-year-old tests positive for COVID-19. That and more after the break.